Hello and welcome to, what are we calling this? COVID updates. I said I would be serious and then I immediately messed up the very first thing. Officer training COVID-19 guidelines for student sponsored events. My name is Jeff Wakeman. I'm the Director of Student Development, and with us today is a couple of students, Lauren Wilson, Associate Director of Student Development, Joe Thompson, who's behind his camera right now because he's eating chicken nuggets, and Melissa Vanderek, who is our financial guru in the office. And so we'll be talking all about all the event changes and things that are happening for fall of 2020 to make sure that we do our physical distancing guidelines and keep everybody safe for all the meetings. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. Click a couple of buttons here. There we go. Hopefully you can all see the title page. All right, I'm getting some nods, so I'm going to keep moving here. I'm going to close this, and I am closing the little pictures of everyone. So if you do need to talk to me, just go ahead and hit the chat button because I will see that. So anyway, I already mentioned this is the officer training for COVID-19 guidelines for student-sponsored events. We're going to talk about both on and off-campus events today, so it's more than just that. Most important thing right now is we are open. The Office of Student Development has some revised hours, but we are all working. I'm currently at home. Joe's in the office, but I'll be in the office tomorrow. Lauren will be in on Wednesday. So our offices are open. The resource room is open. The campus center is open. So if you are on campus and you need to come see us to make a deposit or whatever, we have Lexan in place. We are practicing good social distancing and physical distancing guidelines. So mask up, come on into our office, stay behind the plexiglass, wash your hands frequently, but you can see our hours there. We do have some different protocols. We only have room for about 2 people in our front office at the same time. Resource room has the furniture moved a little bit, and so we're kind of keeping the students in the front of the resource room. But the plexiglass is there, so if you need to make copies or drop something off, come on in. Staff offices like Lauren and Joe, there is no room for a second person in those. So even though Joe may be sitting in his office, if you're going to meet with him, you're probably still going to meet by Zoom. Our club offices, if you are one of the lucky few clubs to have a club office, that is a single person office at the moment. So we're going to try and keep that to a single person. All right. I'm going to move on here. So staff availability is we are going to be available. We do work every day. Even if we're working from home, like Lauren and I, we're going to be able to Zoom for all of our meetings with advisors. We also use Microsoft Teams. So if you're a Teams person, we could probably meet that way too. So COVID guidance for student-sponsored events is, this is all on our website. This is really what we want to say here. We are going to have events. We are going to have a lot of great events. We have already been very impressed with the student groups who are planning different events on campus to make sure that they're hybrid and make sure people who aren't coming to campus are still getting a same experience or at least an equal experience. And all of these things that we're going to talk, the real specifics are on our website. You can see it right there, stockton.edu/student-development/COVID. So if you need real specific things or you didn't write something down or you remember me saying something, but you wanted a little bit more complete, go ahead and check the website. As always, we're going to mask up, we're going to back up, and we're going to wash up. You can see Tal in the Osprey reminding you to do that everywhere on campus, and we're just reminding you today. So general understandings. The general understandings here are that we're not really making our own rules. We're going to adhere to all the recommendations that national, state, local campus health officials are requiring for all different events. So if you hear the governor saying, hey, we're changing this event or we're moving to a new stage, at Stockton, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to reassess what the new rules are locally, nationally, as the pandemic shifts, and we're going to also shift. So, we're just going to make sure that everybody's safe at all times. in-person, online, hybrid events sponsored by the registered student organizations are always, this is not a new rule, always approved by the student development advisor. So if somebody comes up with a wacky idea, we're going to have a tiger on campus, we're going to take that through our regular risk management. Same thing now with COVID. The dangers are completely different and completely new. But if you come up with a wacky and wonderful idea, we're going to talk about it and we're going to see how to make it happen. But it is important to remember that if anybody makes a plan, we need to stick to it. So if we say that this room fits 25 people and you put in 100 people, we're not going to be happy about that. And any student group or students who are abusing their online privileges, their room reservation privileges or their funding, that you might be accountable through the university's code of conduct. So real quick, we just wanted to make sure that everyone understands that the Zoom license for all of the students has been updated. The university realizes that things like study groups and clubs and organizations and fraternities and sororities, they need to have a better, robust ability for video conferencing. So they entered into a partnership with Zoom. They now have a Zoom Pro license for every single student account. So that means student accounts can now host meetings for an unlimited length of time and to up to 300 participants. One meeting at a time, as we learned working with Student Senate. To get the access for this new license, you do need to log in via stockton.edu/Zoom and use the green login button with your regular Go Portal credentials. If it still says Zoom Basic, that means you haven't been upgraded yet. Log out, re-log back in, and that should upgrade your account. If you're continuing having trouble or you can't figure out how you're log in or it looks like you're just not getting the information that you need, just work through the help desk. Help desk is here to help everybody in this time and in regular times with their computer. And this Zoom account is for everyone through information technology. All right. Any questions on that? I don't want to go too deep before we come off of that. I'll pause. Okay, we're going to keep going. Event guidelines. Here's the deal. We're going to have events. We're not going to not have events just because we're staying safe. Online and hybrid events are strongly encouraged. The real reason is that the rooms are just really small. Once we get everyone at a safe distance, 6 foot or 10 foot, depending on what they're doing, and then we modify all the rooms, those of you who are on campus taking face-to-face classes know that the capacities are way down and a lot of the rooms in the campus center are becoming full-time classrooms. So the event room in the campus center, I know there's classes happening in the campus center theater and meeting room 5 and the TRLC. So it's going to be a lot harder to get rooms that fit a lot of people in the times of COVID, which is fine, but we need to really strictly adhere to these guidelines. So once an event is full, we're not going to let anyone in. Even if people leave the event, we're not going to let anyone in because these capacities aren't designed by like a fire capacity. It's really to limit the contagion. So whenever possible, we're going to make sure that we are way bigger of an event than our rooms can hold. So that means streaming the event, takeaway materials so that people can work at home on the event. All of these kind of more hybrid things are going to be the way that you should be holding your event. If you are holding an event in person, we're going to have modified diagrams, we're going to have custom setups, we're going to have cleaning supplies, and most importantly, and this is the last bullet on the slide, sorry I'm bouncing back and forth, but whenever possible, we're going to use the ticketing and RSVP to make sure that everyone who wants to get to the event has an equal and opportunity time to get to the event, and we don't have lines of people trying to be the first person into an event so that they can see it in person. All right. So way before the event happens, if you have a capacity of 25, we would like 25 students to know that they're the ones who are coming in, and that 26 student know that they're going to have to stream it. All right, I hope that makes sense. There's lots of things in Osprey Hub to do ticketing, and we can show you how to do that. So here's some of the raw truths and the hard facts about the capacities. Right now in the state of New Jersey, the current restriction is 25% of total capacity or 25 people, whichever is lower. So that means even the biggest room on campus right now has a capacity of 25 for a social event. Can be higher for a class, for a religious activity, and for a demonstration. But any social activity, which all of the student organizations events are considered social activities, 25 is the hard capacity. As I mentioned, if the governor were to progress and say that we are now on a different stage, we can go to higher capacities. But if you look here, that 25% number means the campus center, the event room, the entire thing that includes the board of trustee room, still has a 99-person capacity. And those are going to be at desks, separated away from each other. So things like dance floors or mix and mingling events just are not going to be possible to continue during social distancing. So you can look down the room. The Campus Center Theater 45, meeting room 1 through 4 is listed as 6. Meeting room 5 at 15, F111 can fit 19 people. That has fixed seating in it. And the Fannie Lou Hamer event room over in Atlantic City has a 56-person capacity when the 25 maximum is lifted. So yeah, the reality is there's just not a whole lot of place to put people in real physical space. So attendance tracking, monitoring, contact tracing, it's going to be really important if you are doing a face-to-face event that we are using the attendance tracking. We need to know who is in the room in case we hear later that someone is sick or is getting tested or throwing a fever. So we're really going to need to make sure that everyone is checking in. We have some contactless check-in methods. We could use the Osprey Hub event attendance process. We can make sure that we're also marking who's attending and who's in person and who's attending virtually. So that's really important. We're going to get card swipers. We hope that will stand so that you don't have to even put someone at the door in a mask. They could just, point to the iPad and say, everyone swipe as you come in. For outdoor events, and we are encouraging outdoor events. It is gorgeous right now, and we are going to let people have outdoor events as long as we can because there are, greater capacities. It is going to be difficult to monitor attendance at an outdoor event, and we don't have fenced-in area, so we understand that there is some flexibility for these, but we're going to do our best to still monitor the attendance, use contact tracing, and keep everybody physically distant. So the other thing I want to mention is because the rooms are so few and far between that can be used, we are not going to reserve rain locations. We can't have a great event happening outdoors, but taking 2 different spaces when we could have had 2 different events. So as of now, we're not reserving rain locations. All right. So when you're in person, we want you to hold face-to-face events when possible, when necessary. I shouldn't say when possible, because we really would prefer the hybrid and the distant ones. But we're really going to empower the leaders of the organization to make sure that the physical distancing is happening, to monitor it, to, if you come up with a protocol, like everyone enters this room and walks this way and goes this way to make sure everybody stays safe, great. We want to hear your plans. If we approve those plans, we need to stick to those plans. And that's probably the most important thing here is we can't change plans on the fly. All right. If we do have to change, we need to make sure that it is adjusted in a way to keep everybody safe. So we can help you. We have lots of things that we've been talking about, event protocols. We have signs like the mask up signs. We can bring in physical distancing dots. We can help you work with traffic patterns. So yeah, we are definitely ready, willing, and able to help you with the design of the event. But if you have a different way that you would like to do it, we're ready, willing, and able to hear your different way and probably approve it as long as it keeps everybody safe. Um, Most importantly, when we don't have the staff to be at every single in-person event, so we're going to leave it up to the leaders to make sure that if a guest comes in and is non-compliant with the safety rules, we're going to expect the leadership in a positive and respectful manner to try and get that guest to follow the safety rules. So, and we mean this truly in a positive and respectful manner. Hey, did you forget your mask? Don't forget, we need to have masks at this event. Please make sure you're standing on the dot. Please make sure you're maintaining this 6-foot distancing. We're not going to expect the leadership to be, the face mask police, but we are going to expect them to run and monitor their own event. And if necessary, report guests and other students who are being non-compliant. So, oh, I read ahead. Sorry about that. So we will have masks and other supplies, hand sanitizer available on campus. We will have signs I already mentioned. Here's where I have, hello, did you forget your mask? They are available in the Campus Center info desk. If you have not yet had an opportunity to grab your Stockton branded mask, make sure you stop down and get one. But this is where it's important that you have the alternate way to attend the event. You have the video live feed. You have some way, like, here's your takeaway kit. Sorry you didn't bring your mask. We're not going to let you in. But here, you can go do the thing at your own distance. So, yeah, and if somebody brass tacks refuses to follow the rules, we're going to expect the leadership to report the student and not maybe end an event, maybe close an event, maybe, but we don't want you to be confrontational. We don't want any fist fights happening at an event because someone was confronting someone about a mask. All right. It's not their job. It's not your job as a student leader to change somebody's mind about wearing a mask. It is your duty to protect the people at your event. All right. Does that make sense? Does anyone have any questions or thoughts on that? All right, I'm going to keep rolling forward. This is just basically a community expectation, and this is happening all over campus. We need to be intentional about keeping others safe at all times, not just at events. So if you're walking around campus, we really want you following the university directives for health and safety at all times. And at all times means after class, at your house or rented apartment. If you've read the directives that were sent in email by Dr. Chris Ketching, the Vice President for Student Affairs, it talked very specifically about not holding off-campus parties and not, things that are simple like congregating and playing basketball at the outdoor basketball court. Those places can become spreaders of the virus, and we don't want that to happen. And we don't want it to happen enough that we will take sanctions on the students who do not follow the instructions. Again, someone forgot their mask. Hey man, put on a mask. Go get a mask, you put it on, nobody's in trouble. Throwing a big party when you know that that's not the right thing to do, that's where you're probably going to end up with some sanctions. Any thoughts on that, everyone, before I keep going? All right, small gatherings. Let's talk about small gatherings. Space for meetings and other small gatherings are limited due to conflicts with the academic scheduling. I already mentioned that most of the bigger spaces on campus have become classrooms. We really are baselining saying that your organizational meetings should be conducted virtually. The reason that we made sure everybody had a good Zoom account was so that you don't have to be in a room together. If an in-person meeting is necessary, it should be approved by your student development advisor and have less than 10 attendees. As you see, the meeting rooms in the campus center have a capacity of 6. So, it's going to be difficult to find a room that's any bigger than that. And no matter where you are, all physical distancing, social distancing protocols must be followed. All right. Uh, Everybody always asks this. Well, how can I have a meeting? It says in my constitution that members present and things like that. I work very closely with the Student Senate. I read a lot of Robert's Rules. In the current edition of Robert's Rules, electronic meeting attendance is considered allowed. If a voting member can be heard and hear the meeting, they're considered present, and they should be considered present and allowed to vote. So we can show you how to do votes on Zoom or chat features or through the Osprey Hub. There's a lot of ways that you can conduct your meetings in a totally normal and safe fashion via electronic methods, and we're here to help you out on that. Let's talk budgets. Everybody wants to talk about budgets. Everybody's got the money in their brain and hand. They did not change the activities fees that are being charged to students, and they have passed that rate on to the students. So all of the same rules and regulations for using your activities fee, if you're lucky enough to be a budgeted club organization, are still in effect. Nothing has really changed. Expenditures will take longer to process. All right, I will tell you that the fiscal concerns that the university is having because of the changing number of students who are living on campus and who are taking classes and the added expenses of keeping everyone safe has changed the way that the university is looking at every dollar that's expended. So they put in some extra hurdles and some extra approval levels, and that works with the student activities fee also. We have not had anything denied. I don't want you to think that things that normally would have been approved are not being approved. It just takes a little longer. Okay, so please work with us. I really think we're talking about 3 to 4 weeks to get things approved and paid for through campus, through the campus process. So, help Melissa out, help your student development advisor out, gather all the information you have, get it into Osprey Hub as early as you can, and make sure that everything is correct. The more things we have to change and the more times we have to go back to the student and ask for additional information, it's only going to slow it down more. So even though we have all of these different things, we need to make sure that the student activities fee is being equitably distributed. It means that if there are tickets, they are equitable or available for all of the students, well advertised, not limited just to the club members. If we can stream the event, let's stream it. Let's get as many people involved as possible. Making materials available online for pickup. If any of you have attended any of the set meetings so far, or set events so far this year, they've had lots of craft kits that people could take back to their residence hall and still take part in the activity, even though they couldn't be live in the room. Prizes, we're still able to give out prizes and giveaways, but we have to make sure that it's equally available for the face-to-face and the virtual attendees. So if you're doing a Kahoot, you want to give away some, or a random thing, make sure that you're tracking the attendance of everybody, not just giving it to the person in the room. So online prize receipts are available through the Osprey Hub. Virtual gift cards are a great way to be able to award a prize to someone in Texas. Student, I should say, not someone, a student in Texas who is, watching from their home or their internship experience, but still a Stockton student and still eligible to win those prizes. So yeah, online prize receipts are available through the Osprey Hub, so the paperwork is actually easier this year than it has been in past years. And any questions on using fees before I keep going? I'll try and stop periodically here. We will do Q&A at the end too, so. All right, food at events. Everybody loves food. We do have many contactless catering options, but there is a reduced menu that is available through Chartwells to ensure food safety. They are trying to focus on more grab and go. They're not going to allow big buffets that the students serve themselves. So they're going to try and do a lot more plated and prepackaged food. If there is a buffet that's needed, they're going to have catering staff there serving. not the event organizers or the volunteers. In the past, we've been able to let the students serve themselves, or like SET does, where the SET students serve the guests. That's pretty much not going to be allowed this year. Sale of home baked goods and other food items is currently prohibited. We will allow organizations to sell commercially prepackaged food items. So if you wanted to do the Gertrude Hawk, chocolate sales, we are going to be able to do that. Chartwell's authorization has to be provided. That's always part of our regular fundraising process if you're selling food or using any food that's off campus. So make sure that you're including your student development advisor and you're seeking permission from Chartwell's. All right, off-campus events. Let's talk about off-campus events. We do expect to be allowing short local trips that meet health guidelines. We don't have a specific ruler like this is how much distance or this is how many people we're going to be able to go, but we are going to evaluate each plan on a case-by-case basis. Obviously, right now, the state of New Jersey, outdoor trips with safe transportation, whale watching, zoo trips, hiking, camping, these things are more likely to meet the current health guidelines. In the future, if we get things opening like theaters and things, we might be able to attend them, but they're just not open at the moment. Campus shuttles and vans are going to be very limited this year. The capacities are very low, so they're being used not as nearly as often and not approved as often. So you might want to think about a third-party transportation company. We know it's going to cost more to get that full-size coach bus, but if you need to take 20 people somewhere, we're not going to be able to fit them on a campus shuttle. So you're probably going to end up spending a little extra money for the bigger vehicles. All right, we're going to review each of these on a case-by-case basis to make sure that they're compliant with the current guidelines. And we keep saying current guidelines because as the state of New Jersey changes its guidelines, we're going to adjust also. All right, we're going to keep going here. I'm going to pause, see if there's any questions. All right, tabling on campus. We do have tabling. Tabling will be allowed, but restricted to a couple of new locations. We've added some outdoor table locations outside of the campus center. When possible, we're going to double stack the tables to make sure that there's physical distancing between the customer and the worker. And we are going to limit that to, one organization worker at a table. And we're going to try and keep, make sure there's no lines to the tabling and make sure there's only one person interacting with that office or with that student member of the organization. Club offices, very important. If you're one of the few lucky people to have a club office, the occupancy of all the club offices is 1. Yes, 1. They are very tiny. There is very limited, there's no windows in any of them that can be opened, or maybe I think half of them have windows and half of them don't. But either way, the capacity is 1. These aren't places where you should be having meetings and things. You should limit the exposure that's going to happen by the club office and clean that office all the time. All of them do have sanitizing wipes in them. If you run out, we can get you more. But please don't let the offices become a place where someone catches the virus. If we find you not following the rules or holding meetings in your office, we may have to take that office away from you either temporarily or permanently. So please use the offices in a solo manner. All right, higher risk activities. Let me take a glug. If anyone has any questions, go ahead. Excellent. Higher risk activities. There are higher risk activities that are not normally higher risk, like singing and dancing and sports, athletic activities. Basically, anything that makes you breathe a lot more is now dangerous. Physical distancing is sometimes impossible. If you're singing, we're going to need that to be almost twice as much distance. We're going to need to keep you back further. We're going to need you to be outside. So again, we have a whole list of things that are on our website, but we're gonna look at each activity on a case-by-case basis. Some activities are just not going to be approved. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. There is no way to have a live basketball tournament and maintain physical distancing. So we wouldn't be able to approve that at the current status. We may in the future again. Um, and some activities need to be altered. So please come up with a plan, bring it to your student development advisor, and let's look at it. All right. As for indoor athletics, right now every athletics facility on campus is closed until the end of September. Um, the athletics department is currently looking at all the state guidelines and trying to bring them up to compliance, but right now they're not ready to be in compliance. So even though your off-campus commercial gym might be open, the Stockton gym is not. Again, when they get to the end of September, they're going to reevaluate what their physical space looks like, and they're going to reevaluate what the current status of the state rules are, and they may open. But right now, until the end of September, they are not open. Yeah, here's another important thing is most of the time we are making the decision on these activities, but we're going to need to do a little bit more due diligence. So please get us anything that you might want to do that's higher risk. Give us about 14 days for the proposed activities. Here's the thing I have about the gym here. You know, gyms and working out is probably the easiest way to spread the virus, and that's great because I haven't been to a gym in 30 years, so I'm not going to catch that sucker. Um, in all seriousness, we do have a very long list on our website of things that you should think about if you're writing your proposal. Check out that list. All right. Any questions on higher risk activities? All right, we're going to keep moving. Fraternity and sorority life. Fraternity and sorority life is still happening on campus. Joe is behind here. I don't know if he's still eating his chicken nuggets or not, but we are definitely expecting fraternities and sororities to follow the same guidelines. We don't have two different sets of rulers here, one that measures clubs and one that measures fraternities and sororities. But membership intake, recruitment is still supported and encouraged. Joe does have some specific guidelines on his in his Greek world, and he's going to be doing some specific fraternity and sorority training for the fraternity and sorority leaders. So check that out. Joe, if you're here, anything you want to share with us?
No, that pretty much covers it, but we do have some programming that we're doing, and any specific things related to just fraternity and sorority life, I'd be happy to answer, so just let me know.
Yeah, and I'll say that we are talking about a stepping and strolling event, and what kind of distancing and things would be going on, and we're talking back and forth about spaces. It's pretty much the model for that, what I mentioned, that higher risk activity. You come to us with a plan. No matter how crazy it is, we're going to talk through the plan and try and find a way to make it happen. So nothing is out of bounds, except maybe the Tigers I was talking about earlier. We're not really interested in Tigers. All right, once again, we have a reminder here to soar safely, everybody. We're going to make sure that we're masking up, that we're backing up, and that we're washing up everywhere on campus, and even when we're home with our families. The last thing we want to do is all go home. All right. We want the campus to be open. We want the students, especially the students who have to have labs, who have some senior experiences that absolutely need to be face to face. I mean, it's very difficult to teach a nurse how to touch a patient while we're on Zoom. So we want to make sure the campus stays open. We want to give as much of a same experience as we can. So if everyone just make sure you're wearing your mask and you're backing up and you're washing your hands, we should be able to pull this off, right? We're all smart, intelligent college students who care about each other. So if we keep each other safe, we're going to be able to hopefully not have to all go home this year like we did in March. So officer training, we are in the middle of officer training. I'm going to put in one quick plug and then we'll open for Q&A. Today is the first day of officer training. You could see we're at the end, not really the end because we have a couple of evening programs, but we have some evening programs coming up tonight. So if you didn't go to Osprey Hub 101 or running an engaging meeting, we're going to be reviewing them again this evening. And then tomorrow, virtual programming, motivating members. This program will be done again. We have advisor AMAs every day that's Ask Me Anything, or you can just log in and talk to all of the student development folks and say hi and ask any kind of question you want. Wednesday, we're going to be talking about financial procedures and advocacy. So if you're a student group that does political action or civic engagement, you definitely want to come to that session. On Thursday, we're going to be doing digital marketing hotness. We're going to be talking about, how to make the algorithms of Instagram and Facebook work for you to make sure that your posts are viewed and seen in the best light. So, and by the most people. We're also going to be talking about the virtual involvement fair, which happens next week. Strategies, not only how to sign up, but how to get involved and how to do it really well. We're going to be talking about breaking the ice on Zoom. If you have a bunch of new members that you really need to get to know each other in a more, more intimate level. By intimate, I mean like friendly. We're going to be doing a session on how to break the ice on Zoom, and we're going to have a self-care event on Friday also. It's very important that you can't pour from an empty cup, and you need to be able to take care of yourself. And the stresses of living in a COVID online environment is happening to all the students, including the student leaders. So we want to make sure that you're healthy, both physically and mentally. All right, I'm going to hit stop share. Say hi to everybody again in real life, and just throw it out there one more time. Are there any other questions? Oh, there's a couple things in the chat. Oh, I was just about to go and paste that, Lauren. Thank you.
Yeah, that was just me asking for you to click the link to mark your attendance at today's program.
Yep. One more time, just please go ahead and click the attendance there. This is the same attendance tracker that we're suggesting a lot of the clubs and organizations use. So we know who's at all of our events, both virtually and in person. And there's also a method for doing an assessment through the attendance tracker. So it's a great new feature of the Osprey Hub that we want to make sure everyone's using. All right, I guess I'll open up one more time for questions, and then I'll push stop on the recording. All right, well, thank you for attending today's events and services for fall 2020 during COVID-19. I just want to mention one more time as we wrap up that there is no strange idea that we're not willing to discuss. So if you come in and you have a fantastic idea, come in and talk to us. We'll find a way to make it happen. That's how we work in student development. All right, I'm going to push stop. Thanks for coming, everyone.